Greetings and hello! Thank you once again for watching my videos. This here is the Ancient Spirit, Tralaka, here talking and explaining in spirit. As Tralaka remembered parts of it, yet like it was not so long ago, though yet bringing sadness when remembering just how many Alliance warriors, having used every ounce of knowledge and excessive training to hold the line, no matter where that line was, be it in space or on the ground on some planet or moon. Tralaka remembered that first shock by the draconians, whose were just totally spazzed out when unit after unit of Alliance warriors were showing up. Tralaka maintains the quoting from an old codes of the Alliance warriors. Any war is a loss for each side, no matter how many sides there be. For any loss of life is a loss that we will require for those in a healthy mindset to have a time of sorrows after the war and properly honor just how much the Alliance warriors were willing to give in the pursuit in peace for all sides involved in a war, and the ones who started it also, as well as the families who lost their warriors, no matter what side it was on. As the fleets of battle cruisers started to line up in the skies above the main base to get clearance and into get their information for landing. Below them, the flight crews and units seen tens of thousands of beings below them lining up along the excessively long runways and the amount of runways. Normally for the flight crew officers, this was a time of excitement when they were coming back from very brief encounters on other worlds, and they could solve the issues with very minimum loss or no loss at all. But today was not one of them, for all units and flight crews had suffered much loss. This is Main Control Tower speaking. All medical and hospital ships, along with any cargo ships who are carrying the injured, you have clearance to land on south landing pads and grass area by the med center. 8 ships separated from the lines in space of the returning ships. That was a combination, okay? There was 2 hospital ships and 6 retrofitted smaller sized cargo ships, maybe medium size, to be able to transport back injured Alliance warriors. One by one they landed, and quickly the specialist healers and doctors were racing behind the hovercraft stretchers and putting an injured warrior laid out on them. As the hovercraft stretcher started moving back to the building, a healer sat at the small chair along the frame of the hovercraft stretcher to use an advanced healing technique energies to work on stabilizing that warrior as best as he could, as the doctor read the IMPU screen on the crystal tablet to assess if surgery was needed, or that if surgery was going to be able to actually keep him alive. This is the main control tower. Next, the battle cruisers and or battleships who are in worse damage proceed to hangar area B. The fire suppression teams were already heading there, the pilots of those battle cruisers and battleships noticed. as they were starting to land. One battleship and 13 battle cruisers as they separated from that low orbit up above the base, coming down at the farthest hangar area as they neared the ground. Massive streams of a green slurry, coated everything 3 inches thick, and of the battleship and 6 of the battle cruisers. The sides of those ships were smoking all the way back from those post-war zones. Even from a distance, a being could have heard the smoke screaming as it was being coated and stopped smoking while the other 7 damaged battle cruisers landed. Soon, all the unit warriors were out of the ships and spreading out on the deep green grassy area to spend some time getting some relaxation as their ships start getting fixed. Though some of them first check their weapons and their personal swords and make notes on the data crystal pads on what needs to be repaired or replaced. This is the main control tower. All other battleship and battle cruisers line up to land by hangar 1 through 9. Then cargo ships land by supply hangars 12 through 16. One by one, they came in and rested in their areas. When a supersonic crack sound filled the hall air above the immense landing areas, as a still strangely shiny black battle cruiser came out of a hyperspace jump far too close to a planet. This was definitely not in regulations. Oh! This fast-moving battle cruiser pitched and bucked hard, a 45-degree angle to slow down, and then another 45-degree angle to slow down as the shiny black battle cruiser came to a sliding stop on the landing pads on a grassy area near one of the parks. By this time, 2 units of Alliance warriors who had already landed some time ago were quickly getting up and running towards that cruiser with their weapons getting into their hands. The main cargo door burst open with such force as the battle cruiser's unit was struggling yet with what seemed to be interlocking wired netting. Whatever was in that netting was putting up one hell of a big fight yet. Hello, main control tower. This is Gunnison private battle cruiser. We have landed and need great assistance to keep cargo subdued. This, my friends, was that battle cruiser that Gunnison, the leader himself, had given the use for those retired Alliance warriors, returning hardly with a scratch on it. Their job had been to break in where the head commandos of the late draconian forces were located and attempt to capture them alive, which was somewhat occurred as the older warriors came out behind the extra large netting they had pushed out of the cargo door as it flopped onto the ground. Some were still struggling with it as laser sharp tails were sticking out of the netting and swishing back and forth looking for creating more blood from the warriors. A smaller ship came over the landing area of that netting and sprayed a heavy blue smoke into the netting. Less than a moment later, the occupants in that netting were unconscious as those older warriors cheered on. Woo! Yeah! Ah, the boat time. The ship then landed nearby, and surprisingly, it was Gunnison himself, a full 9 foot 10 inches tall, with a smile on his face, and still that pure warrior body look, as he was still quite trim and fit. As he walked up into that extra large netting area, "Who is the unit officer?" "Ah, I am," a 9 foot tall older female warrior replied, as she stood up from the double checking the netting. "This is Head Officer Maltria reporting," and then shakes hands with Gunnison. Gunnison replies, "You have seemed to have altered your commander's orders." "Yes, sir," Matria answers, as she double-checked that her very long, flowing red-silver hair was in place according to codes and uniform. Flowing, her beautiful hair just glistened in the sunlight. Though very uniform was very tattered and had quite a few rips in it, which actually gave her even a better look. The uniform still made her very impressive looking. She continued, "The hidden bunkers underground we were told were there had quite a few seasoned, fire-breathing humanoid dragons protecting it." Gunnison mumbled as he looked at her. Gunnison then spoke. "So, how does that equal an extra large net of draconain and whatever else you have in there?" Matria replies, "We had the help of Tralaka and his cruiser units." This there is the ancient spirit, Tralaka. As always, travel safely, journey the entire universe, and experience incredible things. Prepare for the next part. Good night.